Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are starting a very special weekly reading vlog, and it's not really, I don't know, self-obsessed, narcissistic reading vlog, which is reading books written by Rebecca's. So obviously, I am Rebecca. And I had this idea a while ago, and then I saw Maya Reads ages ago. This will tell you how long the video has been in here. I saw her do a video where she read books that had Mare as the main character. And then I saw a couple of months ago, Books and Lala, she also did a video where she read, was it like the title had Kayla, or it was also something to do with Kayla's. So now it's my turn to be all about me, and I'm reading books written by Rebecca's. I have 3 books. Who are the Rebeccas that I will be reading from? So the first Rebecca, I currently don't have the books with me because one of them is in my bag and the other is on my shelf and I'm too lazy to go get it, and then the other one is an audiobook. So the first one is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I will be listening to that throughout the week. And I don't know how long it is actually. I feel like it's not too long, and I'll probably have it on like 3 times speed or something, so I should be able to get through that pretty quick. And to be 100% honest, I don't even know what that book is about really. I know it has something to do with, is it like a solstice of some sort and gods? It seems to be like a very love or hate it book, so I'm very nervous, but I'm optimistic about it. Because see, Ro from A Wandering Through Worlds loves it, one of her favorite books of this year, and then Cassidy hates it. So, and both of these people I have similar enough tastes with, so we will see who I agree with. Then the second one that I'm going to be reading is going to be The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is a sequel, so I'm probably guaranteed to at least enjoy this somewhat because I read The Poppy War. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and obviously, in case you couldn't guess, the R in the RF is Rebecca. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, it made me like 10 times more interested in getting to The Poppy War, because I just like saw it on Twitter because her name on Twitter is like Rebecca Kuang, and I was like, Rebecca? And I don't know what that says about me, but it like bumped it up to my TBR, and I actually ended up reading it back in May, the first book. So we have the sequel on this, which I would also like to say the first book was originally what I planned to read in this, so I have had this idea since before May. So I'm finally getting to it. And then the final book, which actually is not probably going to be the final book, it's probably going to be the first book I pick up, is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I always say a small way to a long angry planet, and I don't know why. And that is by Becky Chambers, which obviously they go by Becky. I don't use Becky as a nickname. I actually hate when people call me Becky, so I definitely should not be using Becky in this, but I am. So yeah, and that follows like a ragtag group of people and space. Really good synopsis there. Hello, so it is time for our first major update of this video, because it's just been one of those kind of weeks, but I have decided that this is going to be a 2-week vlog. But anyway, it is Thursday and I have not yet updated you, but I have finished a book, which I will talk about now. And I got like a little like ring light thing. It's like a really cheap flimsy one because I cannot afford like a proper fancy one. But that reminded me, oh yeah, I should probably update this. I have started and finished Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. And this book was one that was on my October TBR, and I read the first chapter, which the first chapter is like the proper way to start a book. And I can definitely see why this is such a like divisive book. Like, oh, you either love it or hate it. Because it is very slow and it is very much like the start of a story. But it follows, there's like 4 different point of views in it. And so one of them is a priest. This religion that they are like one of the head priests of is responsible for like some bad things in the past. And she really wants to change the reputation of this priesthood. And another point of view, which is a really minor point of view, like someone who is from one of like these villages who was treated poorly by this priesthood in the past, and we only get like maybe 4 chapters from his perspective, but he was away at like a military academy and now he is back. And then our third point of view is a woman, and she is a Teak, which is kind of a, again, not fully explained, but some sort of magic connected to the ocean. And so she has magic connected to the ocean. There's a lot of superstition around their abilities and all of this. And then our final point of view is a young man who has been told that he is basically going to be like a vessel for this god. It's kind of just all building up to this one event called the convergence. The earth, the moon, and the sun is lining up on the solstice, I think it is the convergence. And so that's a lot happening, and it's all meeting, and it's all building up to them all wanting to be at this one place. And that's like a really bad synopsis of it, but like that's literally it all. It's all four of them trying to get to this one place. And so I can see why people would think that's boring. And I have not given it a rating yet, so I was thinking I will CAWPILE it. As we CAWPILE it, I can discuss them. First one is characters. Okay, so I really like the characters. I liked two of them. I did not care about the priest's perspective. I did not care what she was doing. I found that perspective actually pretty infuriating. There was a lot of just a lot of what was going on in that. I was just like really annoyed by a lot of the people in that whole timeline area, whatever. Our fourth narrator, who only gets like 4 or 5 chapters, I don't really know enough to like judge him, but I'm intrigued by him. But I really, really loved our other two main characters. And their plots connect fairly early on in the book. And yeah, and I really loved the two of them. I loved their dynamic, and each of them were just such fascinating characters as well. I think I'm going to give it an 8, which is like on the cheat sheet says like great, a couple of problems, but nothing major. So I feel like that's where I would stand with characters. So atmosphere, a lot of the time I use atmosphere as nearly more of a world building point. Obviously, because like a lot of books, like they don't care about like building like a wintry atmosphere or anything like that. So a lot of the time I just use that for like the world building. And I liked the world building in here. I thought it was very interesting. It was a unique perspective on a lot of things. Actually, I'm not a big fan of books that like have like religion and all of that, but I was really fascinated by how it worked, because it seems that like none of the religions are right or wrong. It seems that like nearly all of them are kind of right, and that has me very intrigued. We didn't get a lot about the magic. We only kind of got glimpses of the start of it, and again that was enough to like really keep me intrigued and interested. Again, I'll probably go with an 8. Then writing, I had no faults with the writing. Yeah, I really liked the writing. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with an 8 with that as well. The plot is where we're gonna go down, because there was not much of one. So there's like 3 ways to write a series. There's probably more, but like I'm like the barest kind of way you can write a series. So there's obviously like companion novels. Then there is like the way that we're all, probably the most common way of writing it, which is, so throughout your like 3 books or 2 books or whatever, there's one overarching plot. But then in each book, there's like a small problem plot that they have to deal with. And then there's another way, which I feel like is less common because there is a risk that people will not enjoy it as much, which is just really have like one overarching plot. And I feel like that's what this series is going to be. So it really felt like, I don't know how long this series is going to be. I don't know if it's I know her previous series was a duology, so I'm not sure, is this a duology or is it longer? I feel like it's gonna be longer. Okay, so it's saying here that it's going to be a trilogy. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling that it was going to be. So I feel like there was a point to this book. It was to get them to this island, or I don't know if it was an island. I presume it was an island. And that was like the point of it. And like, yes, a little bit happened here and there along the way, but nothing like super explosive or anything like that. It was a lot of getting to know the characters, which I enjoyed. But I feel like, yes, the whole point of this book was to get to that point. And the second book, I think, is going to have a whole load more plot, and so I'm very interested in getting to the next book. But there was definitely bits in the middle where like it meandered and I got quite bored. So I'm trying to think, 5 or 6. Yeah, I feel like average, like 5, middle of the road. Intrigue was really high. That was probably the best thing about it, I think. Like I wanted to know what the hell was happening with like these particular characters and what was going to happen at the end of this book. So intrigue extremely high. Even during the boring bits, I was like, I can't stop though. I need to know. I give a 9 for that. Logic. I mean, I don't think anything wrong with the logic in here. Like, I mean, it's a magical world. I mean, we didn't get a lot of explanation, so I suppose I would mark it down a little for that because it hasn't been really explained yet, but I'm pretty sure that's going to come. Maybe a 7 for that. And then the last one is enjoyment. And again, I think it's going to be a 7 because, as I said, in the middle, there was some bits that were quite boring to me. So that is good. Nothing groundbreaking, and it certainly has its issues, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, so I'll give it a 7 for enjoyment. And so that comes out as a 7.43, which is a 4 stars. It is on the lower end of a 4-star, but it's still, like, it's in there. The range for a 4-star is 7 to 8.9. I think the second book and the third book definitely have potential to blow me away. I think this book was a whole load of setup, but I wasn't completely mad about it because I enjoyed the characters enough that I wasn't like hating it. But as I said, I can completely see why this wouldn't be for everyone. And the thing is, I can't tell you whether or not you will like it until you try it, because I mean, obviously if you are someone who is like 100% plot driven, then maybe not for you. But if you're someone who is like, who likes, a unique magic system and who likes interesting characters and doesn't mind a kind of slower intro plot, then maybe try this. But again, it really all depends whether you like the characters, whether you like the world, whether you like the magic system. And I can't tell you whether you will. Next, well, I started on like Sunday. I started A Long Way to Small Anger Planet, but I only read like 9 pages. And I think right now I'm just not really physically reading, to be honest. Basically every book that I have read this month has been an audiobook. So, and I don't have the audiobook for that, so I'm kind of avoiding it. And I do have the audiobook for the Dragon Republic, but when I tried the Poppy War audiobook, I didn't really like it, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same narrator, so I probably also have to physically read that, so I'm gonna have to get a move on. I might not update you until I finish another book, to be honest, but we'll see. Interrupting our regular schedule right now to unbox something, which I kind of already have unboxed because it was just like second nature. I just opened it. I was like, oh wait. And so, which really weird packaging. And also it came in like this yellow pouch instead of a box. I know what it is. It's the EO comic. I can see it. I can see the purple coming through. Are you kidding me? Here. Start to see it. There we go. Oh, isn't it lovely? Oh, I love this. It's beautiful. Yeah, so Extraordinary V.E. Schwab, Volume 1. I'm not sure if there are going to be more. It is a villain story. And V.E. Schwab, Enid Balaam, Geordie Eskin Lorach. And on the back it says, can a person change their fate? Some really nice end papers. It is signed. Just quick flip through. It looks nice. Okay, so I'm currently, well, number 1, I'm currently supposed to be writing an essay. Number 2, I'm supposed to be reading books by Rebecca, which I mean, while I'm here, I'll update you because I've actually started a second book, but I kind of want to read this right now. Might do that later as like a little break. When I get like halfway through, I might give myself a treat and let myself read it. I started this yesterday on Sprints with Cassidy and my window is open. Sorry about that. And I got 200 pages in, which is a decent chunk. And it is about 650-ish pages. So I'm almost a third of the way through, which is good. And I'll try and read more of this again today. This essay is not taking me as long as I thought it would. So hopefully I will be able to get to it. And I like it so far. I find Rin a really fascinating character, but also like she is so damn annoying. But also I'm like so intrigued by her and her thought process because I'm like, oh my god, why would you think that immediately? And yeah, and she's also quite a lot of the time she's very selfish and self-absorbed, and she forgets that there's other people around her that are relying on her in all of this, and she's just so stuck in her own ways and thinking revenge, and that is not a healthy mindset. but yeah, she's an absolutely fascinating character. There has been the reintroduction of some characters from the first book and I love them and I'm so happy that they're back, and I'm very intrigued to where the story is going. We've been getting a lot more development of the magic system, as well as like the plot is definitely taking a different direction, but I can definitely see why it's going this way. So I'm intrigued to continue. So it's been a while since I've spoken to you. This video has not gone as planned because I have only finished 2 books. I'm about 10% into a third one, and this needs to go up tomorrow, and I might stretch it till Tuesday, and I'll try and read as much as The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet as I can, but I don't think I'm going to finish it, but I'll give it as much as I can just to have something else to talk about as well. But I did finish The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, and I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Once again, I was gonna CAWPILE with you, but I have my iPad turned off, so like objectively, this was an incredible book. I really liked where the story went. I find the characters absolutely fascinating. Rin, our main character, being in her head sometimes is so frustrating. She is just so damn fascinating and so real, and you like, sometimes you want to shake her and sometimes you just want to like hug her, and she's a phenomenally written character, like incredible. And I love some of the side characters so much, and yeah, like the villains and everything, so well done character wise. Then the world building, we definitely got a lot more built upon from the first book, and I enjoyed the first book a lot. I gave it 4 stars as well. This would be a higher 4 stars, I'm guessing, but again, we'll have to wait to see. But it built on that magic and that world and everything that we've seen already, and I really enjoyed that, and I like the direction where like the magic and all of that is going and what we have learned about it. I have no problems with the writing or anything like that, and so I think where it will go down is probably I'm not sure would this fall into plot, but I suppose it would, because like I really enjoyed the direction like the main plot went in, and I really liked some of the conversations that were being had about democracy and the way they want this republic to be versus the realities. And obviously there's still a continuation of the talk of war and, you know, how meaningless it is and all of this. But there was a kind of side plot which I think is going to be a bigger thing in the third book, which makes me kind of nervous. That is very religious heavy. So I'm trying to like keep it spoiler free, but there is basically people from the West come into the story. They are very religious and they have their one god, the maker or whatever they call him, and it's very clear that it's probably Christianity. Like, I know there's more religions that have one god in it, there is like a couple, but it is most likely Christianity, let's be honest. And I think this is something that is just a very personal preference thing. I don't care for talk about religion in books. when it was just like, you know, there's all of these like, there's like, I think it's like in the 60s, this number of gods, and they, you know, they all have these different things about them, and, you know, you can kind of contact them and gain powers and all of that. That's kind of where it was at. This is something that Becca in the books talked about when she was talking about Empire of the Vampire, and when she said it, I was like, oh my god, I feel the same way about those kind of things. And I think it's because I grew up in a very Catholic country, and I went to a Catholic school, and like, when you say that, in a lot of places they're like, oh, a Catholic school, but probably like 3/4 of the schools here are Catholic schools. Like, it's a huge number, and even though like the state and religion are separate, they're still very like intertwined, and it's kind of like working on not being as intertwined. And so I have a very weird thing with religion, because I grew up going to like primary school, and you know, we would finish like, I don't know, a geography lesson, and then it'd be like, okay, religion time, and we'd be getting told like these stories about whatever. And like, it was just framed as like, yes, this is just as real as the geography we just spoke about. And so I was only in secondary school, probably-ish, that, and also that's another thing, is like confirmation, communion, all of that is done through the schools here, which we're like one of the only countries that does that. Like, nobody does that. You have to like go out of your way, go to the church to do it, whereas like it's just done through the schools here. So again, very weird. And so it was only in secondary school that I kind of like started realizing, why am I to believe that all of these other religions exist and this one's the real one? And so yeah, so I think like hearing all of these stories about like when one of the like characters is trying to talk to Rin about how, of course, like it's only logical that this one real god exists and all that, I'm like, okay, been there, heard that, I don't care. And yeah, so, and like, I'm not saying that the conversations about religion were done poorly, because that is not true. I think they were actually done really well. I just don't want to hear about it. Can you tell I am not religious anymore? So yeah, yeah, I'm not a particularly religious person, and I think because of growing up around religion the whole damn time, and like it just, for like all like what 14 years that I was in school, it was an actual like timetabled class for us, and yeah, so I just don't care. So I think that just side plot, I was just like, I don't care. And but as I said, I don't think the conversations were bad. I think that they were done very well. I just personally, like personal preference wise, I just don't care about listening to those conversations. It just makes me want to roll my eyes when people are like, how could the world exist? Like the chances of the world happening just the way it is are so damn slim and all this. I'm like, yeah, so that means there has to be a god. If there is anyone religious, I don't mean to offend, I'm just on a rant. And I do respect anyone who has strong religious beliefs, because I truly do wish sometimes that, okay, this is taking a weird turn, this is no longer about a book, but I do like wish that I had like that really strong faith, that I could just believe in something like that. But me, as a very like logical science, all of this, I'm like, but proof. The main plot I did really enjoy, and as I said, I'm very, very intrigued about where the final book is going to go, because finally, I think at the end of this book, Rin has had an awakening and a realization, and I'm really intrigued about what she will do with this. So intrigue was pretty high, because like when I picked it up, I was really enjoying it. I wasn't putting it down and all of this, but I didn't really want to pick it up when I had put it down, which I do think is again, that's like actually a personal thing at the moment, because I'm just like so busy and all of this. And all day, well, I have like so much to do, all I'm thinking about is, oh, I just want to read so bad. And then as soon as the like as soon as I'm finished all that, I usually have like 1 or 2 hours before I have to go to sleep. And at that stage of the day, I'm just like, I kind of just want to sit down and watch YouTube. And so I had to like force myself to be like, okay, pick this up. But I read it in 3 days. I mean, it was 6 days, but like I had like a 3-day break in between. But like if you count like 3 reading periods, we'll say. So yeah, so like again, another personal thing. So like I feel like this should be a 5-star, and if I like read it at a different time, it might have been a 5-star, but I think it's gonna like just miss the mark for me. Again, all because of personal reasons. But then again, isn't all ratings personal readings really? I'm excited to see where the stories go. I'm getting the final book for Christmas, so I'll read that. Also, I don't love the audiobook, but I did listen to the entire audiobook, so that's another thing that could have hindered my enjoyment slightly. But I could not pick up a book and physically read it. I had to put the audiobook on and read along because my brain was like, that's not happening. And then, as I said, I'm about 10-15% into Small Way to a Long... No, again, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And I'm enjoying it so far. We're kind of only getting to know the characters and all of this, and I'm interested. They seem like interesting characters, so we'll see where it goes. Hi, so it is now Tuesday, and this is going to be a pretty quick update. So obviously this is very late because it was supposed to go up like last Monday. Did not happen. And then it was supposed to go out yesterday, and that also did not happen. And I haven't even edited it yet. I also have not finished all of the books for it yet, so that's fun for me. So it might even go out today. So, but I'm 50% of the way through The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I don't have any strong feelings about it whatsoever. It's feeling very 3-star to me. It's okay. It's cute. I have a feeling I would prefer Becky Chambers' novellas, because I think it would like condense all of that like really character sweet interactions into something way shorter, whereas this, it just feels pretty dragged out because it's just all about characters, which I don't mind a character driven story, but I don't love these characters. So yeah, so it's feeling very 3-star to me, and I'm probably not going to finish it before the end of this video. So, whoops. I'm here to finally wrap up this video, and because I have just finished The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 3-star, but it could possibly be a high 2-star. I was just pretty bored the whole time. Like, yeah, I knew going into it that I was going to be very character driven. I knew that my like ideal books would be like 50% plot, 50% character. But there's lots of books that I read that are extremely character driven that I love. So I was prepared going into this. Oh, it's going to be very character driven and all of this. But that doesn't excuse the fact that nothing happens in this book. Like nothing. Like I expected just something. Just something. And then the thing is, the characters weren't even that interesting. What are the 2 characters? I literally finished it a couple minutes ago, and I can't even remember what the characters are called. Jenks. And Ashby? I don't know which one is which. One of them is a captain. Like, the female characters, I would say, were more distinct. But even then, I wasn't extremely attached to any of them. I like the concept of it. I like this idea of a very, character-driven, kind of breaking down these concepts of, oh, just because your culture says this thing doesn't make that normal and all of this kind of stuff. Like all of that kind of commentary. I liked that in the moment, but it was like only as it happened, like that page or 2 where they would be discussed, I'd be like, yeah. And then like it'd be just them back on the ship again, just slowly moving. And it got pretty boring. I'm not going to continue with this series, but I will try some of her novellas. Yeah, and so I feel like if you like condense like the messages and the relationships and all of that into like 100 pages, I would have much preferred this book. Because the thing is, I didn't get that attached to the relationships, the friendships. I didn't really feel that development that much. So like if it felt like it could have happened in 100 pages, to be honest. So yeah, we will once again CAWPILE together. So also, because I forgot to do it, for the Dragon Republic, it did come out as a 4 stars. It was 9 for characters, 9 for atmosphere, 9 for writing, 8 for plot, 8 for intrigue, 9 for logic, 8 for enjoyment. And that is a 8.57. It's either 2 or 3 points off being a 5 star. And it is actually the exact same score that I gave the Poppy War, which I thought this would be like 1 point or 2 points above this, above the first book. But I guess I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed the first book. But I really liked the first book. I kind of just, as I said, it kind of obviously just like slipped my mind a bit how much I loved it. Characters, I would say, were pretty mediocre, which on the cheat sheet is a 5. As I said earlier, atmosphere I often interchange with world building. And this I do think would, like if I'm using it as world building, I do think would get a few more points, maybe 7. Writing, the writing was okay. Like nothing wrong with it or anything. So I'll go 6. The next one is plot, and as I said, plot, weird. And so this, like the tiny bit of plot that was there, like the way it ended was not even satisfying. So I think I'll give it 2, which is horrible, which feels really harsh. Intrigue, I did not want to pick up this book when I put it down. Do I want to give it a 3 or 4 though? I'm gonna give it a 3. So again, I did not want to pick this book up. And like the thing is, I actually read it only in like, I think maybe like 4 or 5 sittings. But every time I put this book down, I was like, you have to pick it up. You have to pick it back up. The logic, again, I'm going to go middle of the road 5. And so then the last one is enjoyment. And again, this is another one that I'm not sure, do I want to do 4 or 5? Oh, okay. See, if I do 4, it's going to be a 2 star. If I do 5, it's going to be a 3. So I knew it was going to be either a 2 or a 3. If I give it a 4, it would have the exact same rating as A Winter's Promise by Christelle DeBow. I do think this is a better book than that. So it's going to go into the 3 star. I gave that 5 for enjoyment, which is just mediocre. Like, it had its moments, but they were very rare. And so then that comes out as a 4.71, which is just squeezing into the 3 star. If you are a character-driven reader, if you want a cozy sci-fi that does not have a lot of plot, that the science is not over-explained and still makes sense, and you want it just to be about people and humanity, then check this out. If you want plot, if you want space, action, this ain't it. Which I would also like to say, before I filmed this, I was like reading up on some reviews to see like, and like just everyone I follow or is friends with have given this like 4 or 5 stars, and I'm like, except for one person who DNF'd it in 2017 and said that they would get back to it and never did. And you know who that person is? Jade from JD Raid Reads. If you're here, I always say I have extremely similar reading taste to her. So yeah, and she DNF'd it. Next week, we should be back to the Monday, Thursday instead of the Tuesday, Friday schedule. So to answer this question, can I trust Rebecca's? Well, Rebecca Rowan Horse, I gave 4 stars. I trust Rebecca Rowan Horse. R.F. Kuang, you know, only using the initial. I do trust her. Both of her books are extremely high 4 stars. They're just missing out on that 5 star by this much. And then, can I trust Becky Chambers? I mean, she calls herself Becky, so no. I'm only kidding, of course. And as I said, I'm going to try some of her novellas. I'm done with The Wayfarers. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.